The kindness of strangers. Language focus narrative tenses. Vocabulary talking about books and films. Everyday English showing interest and surprise. Reading book at bedtime. Listening an interview with a BBC journalist writing narrative writing. 1. 3. Free hugs. 1. Where do you think the girl in the photo is? Why is she offering free hugs? Would you accept one? Opening parenthesis. Question mark. 2. Read the quote. Why is this particularly hard to imagine in today's world? How can we create a kinder world in our own daily lives? Just imagine how different the world would be if we all spoke to everyone with respect and kindness. Holly Branson. Watch the video introduction. Use your workbook for self-study. Go online for more practice and to check your progress. Language focus narrative tenses. Test your grammar. Match the verbs in the sentences with their past tense names. It was raining. ... I was soaked to the skin. ... I'd missed my bus. ... I'd been walking for an hour. ... A kind passerby gave me an umbrella. ... The bee professor. Past simple, past continuous, past simple, passive, past perfect simple. Past perfect continuous. 1. Look at the photos and read the captions. Who and what is the article about? What else do you want to know? Write some questions with a partner. Where does Dr. Alsous come from? Who is Razan? Why? ... Question mark. 2. Read the whole article. What does the title refer to? Can you find answers to your questions? 3. Use the prompts to make questions about Dr. Alsous. Ask and answer them with your partner. 1. Why, Dr. Alsous leave, country? 2. What, been doing, Damascus University? 3. What, 2, his beehives? 4. Why, England? 5. Where, Razan living when, arrived? 6. Why, not find, job as a beekeeper? 7. How, helped, start a business? 8. When and why, launch the Buzz project? 3.1 Listen and check. 4. Match a line in A with a line in B to tell Dr. Alsous' story. Read the story aloud to your partner. Name the past tenses used. A. 1. Dr. Alsous left his home. 2. His daughter had moved to England. 3. When he arrived to join her. 4. Posting on Facebook. 5. He was helped. 6. He launched the Buzz project because. 7. He was interviewed by the BBC. 8. Razan 1. 3.2 Listen and check. B. A few years before him. Didn't help him find any work. Bees, cheese and refugees. He wanted to help people like himself. After war broke out. Dr. Riyad Alsous knows a lot about bees. Back home in his country, Syria, he worked in the agriculture department at the University of Damascus, where he was known as the professor of bees. He had 500 beehives and had been researching bees for many years when civil war broke out and all his hives were destroyed. She was just starting her cheese company. Because of the project. The World Cheese Award in 2017. By a kind lady who gave him a beehive. Dr. Riyad Alsous, the university professor and beekeeper who arrived in England with only the jacket he was wearing. Dr. Alsous' daughter, Razan, had already left Syria. She had moved to England with her husband and 3 children. They were living in Huddersfield, in the northwest, where Razan was setting up the Yorkshire Dharma Cheese Company, producing squeaky, Syrian-style cheese using Yorkshire milk. This has since become extremely successful and won many awards. Dr. Alsous says, Razan told us it was a friendly place and the people had been good to her, so my wife and I came here. Single quote. Razan's award-winning Yorkshire Dharma Cheese Company. Dr. Alsous needed work. He had left Syria with just the jacket he was wearing. He posted on Facebook to find a job as a beekeeper, but he was overqualified. Then a lady from Manchester gave him one of her hives, and from this he started a business. He built 2 more out of recycled wood. Now he has 17. In 2017, he launched the Buzz Project, a beekeeping training course which aims to help refugees and the unemployed, making money from honey. Dr. Alsus was interviewed about the project on BBC Radio's On Your Farm program. He believes that bees are good for the soul. Language focus. 1. Which paragraph, A or B, is better in style? In what ways? A Dr. Alsus studies bees. His hives were destroyed in the war. He came to England. Life was difficult. He was looking for work for many months. A kind lady gave him a beehive. He started his own business. B. Dr. Alsus, known as the Syrian bee professor, came to England after his hives had been destroyed in the war. At first life was difficult. He had been looking for work for many months before. Finally, a kind lady gave him a hive, and with this he started his own business. 2. Underline examples of past tenses, active and passive, in the article. Right pointing arrow grammar reference 3.1 to 3.2. pp 153 to 154. Writing p 132 Narrative writing. 1. Using adverbs in narratives. Practice. 1. Rewrite the sentences, beginning with the part in bold. 1. He wasn't always poor. He had a successful business. Unfortunately, it went bust. Mick was a homeless beggar. Mick was a homeless beggar, but he hadn't always been poor, as he'd had a successful business which, unfortunately, had gone bust. 2. She won £2,000 in a competition. Last night, Sally was celebrating. Opening parenthesis. Because. 3. He got up at dawn. He was driving for 10 hours. Peter was tired when he arrived home. 4. I parked my car on a yellow line. It was towed away. I went to get my car, but it wasn't there. Opening parenthesis. Because. 5. They were shopping all day. They spent all their money on clothes. Jane and Dan were broke. Opening parenthesis. Because. 6. He bought a house in Scotland. He first saw it while he was driving there on holiday. Last week, John moved to the house. Discussing grammar. 2. Work with a partner. Compare the use of tenses in these sentences. Say which tense is used and why. I made a cake. 1. When Alice arrived, I was making a cake. 2. The film started. The film had started. 3. He was sacked because I had made a cake. When we got to the cinema, he had stolen some money. He had been stealing money for years. 4. When I got to the garage, my car. 5. I read. I was reading. Was being repaired. Had been repaired. A novel on the plane. The report on the plane. Heartwarming stories. 3. News stories are usually bad news, but here are 4 good news stories. Look at the photos and the headlines. What are the stories about? 4. Look quickly through the stories. Answer a question about each. 1. What had the security officer kept for Maudie? 2. What did Chris do with the money? 3. Why didn't the new mum pay the fine? 4. Why did the commuters lift the bus? 5. These lines have been taken from the texts. Where do they go? A had been browsing through. B had been given. C had been hit. D had been staying in hospital. E had made him smile. F was forced to give up all her painting supplies. G was waiting for her in the baggage area. H worked together. 63.3 Listen and check. Who are the kind strangers in each story? Spoken English giving and reacting to news. In conversation, when we tell or hear news, we can use certain expressions. Put the expressions under the correct headings. You're kidding. Apparently. ... That's such a shame. Who called the police? Anyway, in the end. ... Giving. News. It says here that Dot. Dot. Then what happened? Dot. Dot. Question mark. Where did this happen? I don't believe it. What happened was. Dot. Dot. Reacting to news. Did you hear about? Dot. Dot. Question mark. The incredible thing was that. Dot. Dot. Really? That's amazing. Asking for more information. How did it happen? Did he die? Airport security officers. Act of kindness. 1. Canadian artist Maudie Gowett had forgotten the airport rules about taking liquids onto the planes. So, when she got to airport security, when she returned a week later, a security officer too with her paints. Not only had he kept them safe for her, he'd also looked up her return date so he could meet her. Maudie was amazed. Air Canada. £5 notes hidden in books. 73.4 Listen to a conversation about one of the stories. Which story? Which expressions from spoken English do the people use? 8. Work with a partner. Have similar conversations about 2 of the other stories. Use some of the expressions. Act them out to the class. Did you hear about? Dot. Dot. Question mark. No, I didn't. What? Dot. Dot. Question mark. Go online for more grammar practice. Chris Topping, from Liverpool, England, some children's books in his local Waterstones bookshop when, in the pages of one, he came across a £5 note and an anonymous message. Hi, if you find this money, then know the universe is smiling at you. Have a great day. Chris said the note, so he used the money to buy sandwiches and drinks for some homeless people he'd seen on the street. He hoped that would please the anonymous donor. No parking ticket for sick baby's mum. A new mum in Canberra, Australia with her sick baby boy. She returned to her car after being discharged and discovered that she parking ticket. But when she opened the envelope on her windscreen, she discovered a note from a kind lady called Laura. Laura had seen the ticket and written, "I'm sure whatever you were going through in hospital was tough enough, so I've paid it for you. Hope things get better." Single quote. Dot. Bus lifted by 100 Londoners. A crowd of Londoners. 7. To lift up a double-decker bus when a cyclist had become trapped beneath it. Amazing pictures on YouTube showed about 100 commuters in East London lifting the huge 212 clad Cruise 212 bus when Anthony Shields and knocked off his bike. Anthony spent a month in hospital, but has now recovered completely. He said he was moved to tears when he watched the video of his rescue. Go Eating Dole. Reading and speaking writers and reviews. 1. Read the profile of Ruth Rendell, a well-known best-selling English writer. What kind of stories did she write? Was she just famous in Britain? Which word tells you that she wrote a lot of books? Who is Barbara Vine? Profile. Ruth Rendell, 1930 to 2015. Was an English author of crime fiction, specializing in psychological thrillers. She won many awards for her writing, including 3 from the Crime Writers Association and 3 Edgar Awards from the Mystery Writers of America. She was a prolific writer, and many of her novels have been successfully adapted for film and TV. The series The Ruth Rendell Mysteries ran for 13 years on British TV. She also wrote under the pen name Barbara Vine. 2. The Fallen Curtain is a collection of short stories by Ruth Rendell. Look at the cover and read the reviews. What are some of the words used to describe her work? What's a page turner? Reviews. Suspense at its best. Single quote. The Times. One of the best inventors of plots since Agatha Christie. Daily Telegraph. Haunting dramas with unexpected twists and shocking conclusions. The author's spine-chilling skills produce another page turner. Single quote. Ruth Rendell. The Fallen Curtain. And Other Stories. 3. The Clinging Woman is one of Ruth Rendell's short stories. It opens with the attempted suicide of a young woman. Only the prompt action of a young neighbor saves her life. Work with a partner. What questions could you ask about the story? What do you think the title means? Now turn to the next page and find out more about The Clinging Woman. Reading and listening. Book at bedtime. One you are going to listen to. The Clinging Woman is read on a late-night radio program called Book at Bedtime. Look at the picture and discuss these questions. 1. What is the woman doing? What is the man in the window doing? 2. What is she thinking? What is he thinking? 3. What do you think happens next? 23.5 Listen to and read part 1 of the story. Complete this synopsis of the facts so far. There are 2 characters, a girl and ... She lives ... He lives ... It is ... In the morning. He has been woken by ... The weather ... Suddenly he notices ... The Clinging Woman. Part 1. The girl was hanging by her hands from the railings of a balcony. The balcony was on the 12th floor of the high-rise block next to his. His flat was on the 6th floor and he had to look up to see her. It was 6:30 in the morning. He had been awakened by the sound of an aircraft flying dangerously low overhead, and he had got out of bed to look. His sleepy gaze, descending from the blue sky which was empty of clouds, empty of anything but the bright vanishing arrow of the aircraft, alighted, at first with disbelief on the hanging figure. Part 2. He really thought he must be dreaming, for this sunrise time was the hour for dreams. Then, when he knew he wasn't, he decided it must be a stunt. This was to be a scene in a film. There were cameramen down there, a whole film unit, and all the correct safety precautions had been taken. Probably the girl wasn't even a real girl, but a dummy. He opened the window and looked down. The car park, paved courts, grass spaces between the blocks, all were deserted. On the balcony rail, one of the dummy's hands moved, clutching its anchorage more tightly, more desperately. He had to believe then what was obviously happening, unbelievable only because melodrama, though a frequent constituent of real life, always is. The girl was trying to kill herself. She had lost her nerve and now was trying to stay alive. All these thoughts and conclusions of his occupied about 30 seconds. Then he acted. He picked up the phone and dialed the emergency number for the police. The arrival of the police cars and the rescue of the girl became the focus of gossip and speculation for the tenants of the 2 blocks. Someone found out that it was he who had alerted the police and he became an unwilling hero. He was a modest, quiet young man, and, disliking this limelight, was relieved when the talk began to die away, when the novelty of it wore off, and he was able to enter and leave his flat without being pointed at as a kind of saint. George and sometimes even congratulated. About a fortnight after that morning of melodrama, he was getting ready to go to the theater, just putting on his overcoat, when the doorbell rang. He didn't recognize the girl who stood outside. He had never seen her face. She said, "I'm Lydia Simpson. You saved my life. I've come to thank you." 33.6 Listen to and read part 2. 1. What is the man's first interpretation of what he sees? 2. What is his second interpretation? How does he know it's wrong? 3. What is his third interpretation? What does he do? 4. How do other tenants react? 5. Why is he an unwilling hero? What do you learn about his character? 6. What happened 2 weeks later? 7. Why doesn't he recognize the person at the door? 43.7 Listen only to part 3 of the story. 1. How does the man feel as she talks? What does he say? 2. What does he want her to do? 3. What doesn't he want to happen? 4. How does he feel as she goes? How does she seem? Vocabulary. 5. Match the highlighted words in the text with a synonym or near synonym from below. A dangerous act. Woken up. Chat informed. What do you think? Holding tightly. Look. Noun. A model attention. Disappearing. Empty. Faded. Courage. Why is it curious that they meet the next morning? What do you think happens at the bus stop? Do they get to know each other? Go out together? The writer doesn't ever give the man a name. Why not? Here are some lines from the rest of the story. My life has been yours ever since you saved it. We don't need children to bring us together. You're my husband and my child and my friend all in one. The first thing he noticed when he let himself in at his front door at 6 was the stench of gas. How long, she asked dully, will you be gone? 3 months. She paled. She fell back as if physically ill. Dot. 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 She had been lying there, the empty bottle of pills still clutched feebly in her hand. 6. Discuss what you think happens. Look at page 165 and read a synopsis of the story. Why is The Clinging Woman a clever title? Watch a video and learn more about the creative writing process. From an author. Vocabulary and speaking talking about books and films. 1. We usually want to know some things about a book before we start reading it. Here are some answers. Write in the questions. 1. Who wrote it? 2. 3. Ruth Rendell. It's a psychological thriller. It's about a psychologically disturbed young girl. 4. Where and 5, 6, 7, 8. Modern-day London. A girl called Lydia and a young man. No, it hasn't. But other stories by the same author have been adapted. It has quite a shocking end. Yes, I would absolutely. It's a real page-turner. I couldn't put it down. 9. What? Like? They all said that it was a very clever story. 3.8. Listen and compare. 2. Which questions in one could also be asked about a film? What extra questions can be asked about a film? 3. Are these words connected with film, theatre, or books? Write them in the correct column. Some go in more than one. Starring role, act, stalls, plot critic, storyline chapter, director, backstage, documentary dressing room, rehearsal, script, review, musical, matinee, novelist, trailer, sequel, screen, blockbuster, animation, interval, program, whodunit, hardback, playwright, performance full house, fairy tale thriller paperback, autobiography, films, theatre, talking about you, books. 4. Work in groups. Talk about films, plays or books you have seen or read recently. You can use the questions from 1 and words from 3. Who has seen any good films lately? I haven't been to the cinema for a while, but I'm watching a really good whodunit series on Netflix. I love thrillers. What's it about? Listening and speaking an interview with a BBC journalist. 13.9. Listen to and read about Kate Adie. Answer the questions. 1. What does she do now? 2. What did she do before? 3. Why is she particularly well known? Kate Adie CBE, BBC journalist. Kate Adie CBE is an English journalist. She worked for the BBC for 14 years as their chief news correspondent, and she currently presents from our own correspondent on BBC Radio 4. In this program, journalists and writers from all over the world take a closer look at the stories behind the headlines. Kate herself has traveled widely in her career. She became well known as one of the first British women journalists to face extreme danger in war. Kate Adie. The autobiography. The Kindness of Strangers. Zones Around the World. Her most memorable reports include the Gulf Wars and Belfast during the Troubles. Her best-selling autobiography is called The Kindness of Strangers. 2. Discuss these questions as a class. Why do you think she called her autobiography The Kindness of Strangers? Do you think her career will have made her an optimist or a pessimist about the world? Why? 33.10. Sit back and listen to the complete interview with Kate. Simply see if any of your ideas were correct. If so, which? Welcome, Kate. What I'd really like to know is why you called your autobiography The Kindness of Strangers. Single quote. RDBBC. 43.10 Work with a partner. Listen again and answer the questions. 1. Why does the interviewer think what Kate says is refreshing? 2. In what ways did people help her during the protest? 3. Where was she when there was a lot of pressure and a lot of extraordinarily vicious, misogynistic press at home? Who was she with? 4. Which act of kindness is both frightening and funny? In what ways? 5. The interviewer says, "That's so lovely to hear." What is? 6. Kate says, "We go 2 steps forward and 1 step back." What is she referring to? 7. Does she believe absolutely that the world will get better? How do you know? What do you think? Why were parts of the British press anti-Kate? Which qualities do you think Kate has that make her such a successful war correspondent? Do you know what the troubles in Ireland were? What caused them? What's happening in the world at the moment that foreign correspondents like Kate are covering? In your own words. Tell the story of what happened to Kate in Belfast in your own words. Begin like this. Kate was working in Belfast during the Troubles. One day she was reporting on a riot when... Everyday English showing interest and surprise. 13.11 Listen to the conversation. Write in B's answers. How does she show interest and surprise? A. Jade's got a new boyfriend. B. Question mark. Good for her. Or apparently, he lives in a castle. B. A. Yes. She met him in Slovenia. B. Question mark. How amazing. Question mark. That's interesting. B. Question mark. Well, as long as he can say, "I love you." Or unfortunately, he can't speak much English. 2B uses echo questions and reply questions. Which are which? Practice the conversation with a partner. 3. Complete the conversations with either an echo or a reply question. 1, 2, 3. B. A. Sam wants to apologize. Underscore. Why? A. We had a terrible holiday. A. I'm broke. B. Question mark. B. Underscore. How come? A. Well, he's broken your mother's Chinese vase. B. A. Yes. It rained all the time. Question mark. How awful. B. Question mark. Oh, no. A. Yes. And the food was disgusting. B. Underscore. What a disaster. A. Well, I had a £500 vet's bill for my dog. Question mark. Poor Ziggy. What happened? A. He was attacked by another dog in the park. B. Where was the owner? 5. A. It took me 3 hours to get here. B. Question mark. But it's only 10 miles. A. Yes, but there was a huge traffic jam on the motorway. B. Underscore. That's awful. A. We didn't move at all for 2 hours. B. Underscore. I bet you were really fed up. A. I'm on a mountain, watching the sunset. B. Question mark. How lovely. A. It is. And I've got something to ask you. B. Underscore. Is it important? A. Yes, you see. I'd like to marry you. B. 3.12 Listen and compare. Practice them with your partner. 4. Write a surprising sentence about yourself. Read it aloud to the class. Other students respond using an echo or a reply question. Go online for more speaking practice. Wow, how romantic. I have 30 cousins. Do you? 30. How come?